this video, I'm going to use a spreadsheet to help me keep track of the Dalembert strategy on roulette. Now, in two previous videos, in one video, I explained the strategy, I demonstrated it, and then I showed how I use the strategy across different traits at the same time, rather than just using it on one trait, meaning I go across the board. This spreadsheet can be used either to kind of just track loss and gains for one trait, or you could actually use it to do all the traits, all 6 at the same time. It's a bit complex, but I'll see what I can touch on in this video. I'll see what makes sense, but basically I just want to explain the spreadsheet. So first of all, it chooses a random trait. Okay, the reason for this is that, another way to bet might not necessarily be that you want to go across. You might just want to pick a random trait. So I'll explain the sheet, but I think it's best I do it through demonstration. So first of all, right now it's choosing high, and the unit I'm working with is 10 cents. I'm working with units of 10 cents. So for high, I will bet 10 cents, and then I will bet. And I won. Okay. Since I won, right, what I'm doing here is I'm recording the number of units. So here I'll put a 1, and that means that because I won. All right, I bet 1 unit of 10 cents and I won. 1 unit. So the true here basically just means I reached the goal. Right? So I reached the goal, and that's it. I made my goal. So that's something that you can record, and it just kind of gives you a better understanding. Now it's telling me 10 cents black, so I can randomly go over to 10 cents black, and I can do that as well. And I lost. So since I lost on 10 cents black, what I'll do is change it to 20. So now I'll bet 20 cents on black. All right, and I lost a unit, so I'll put a -1 here. So that's how you would use it if you were going like across, the different traits kind of at the same time and trying to kind of keep track of all of them. And if your goal is 1 unit, you could have like a goal for each trait. So if my goal is 1 unit for this trait, then really I'm done with this trait, right? For instance, high, and I can just delete that and continue and bet on something else, all right? Like 10 cents low, all right? I could do that. Right? Keeping in mind that I do have a goal, and I forgot to mention that. So, I might have a certain goal. So still keeping in mind the goal as well. So in this case, I won. So I'll put that I won 1 unit. And in fact, I'll even just leave this over here on high for now, so I can see what has happened here so far, right? Now, I'm using the random trait, but you could also just go across as I was doing in the previous video and just keep track of, of it that way as well. And I think a lot of people might see this and not really understand the point of it. It's basically a way that you could Dalembert on different traits at the same time. But like if you go back to my previous video, I went across from left to right, and I kept increasing, right, as I lost or won. So I was simply just using these to move across, where with this, I'm actually doing a separate Dalembert for low, 1 for even, 1 for red, 1 for black, 1 for odd, and 1 for high. I'm treating them completely separate, as if each one is its own Dalembert. So I'm doing like 6 Dalemberts at a time, in other words. Right? And you might say, well, why on earth would you want to do that? But basically, it's a way to kind of spread out the risk, where instead of just say betting on red and then losing a lot on red because red decides not to show up, you're kind of spreading out the risk by Dalembert all of these at the same time. And what you can do is when you reach a goal that is satisfactory, you can just, you can even just start these over. You could just delete these and start over again. Right? And that's really the idea. So, I mean, that's basically how it works. I have to like keep betting to really demonstrate some more. And I can do that. So what I'll do is I'll do the ones I haven't done yet. So I'm not doing the random thing, all right? I'm going to just actually do the ones I haven't done as yet. Like even and... Okay, so I lost when I bet on even, right? So Dalembert rule, you add a unit. My unit is 10 cents, right? So then I'll go up to 20. I lost 1 unit, so I'm going to put -1 over here. Right? So you can see this is the total. So I lost 1 unit on even, and I lost a unit on black. Right? So I lost a unit of even, I lost a unit of black. Okay, I go back here, and I just continue, right? I'll do red now. Let's see what happens with red. I lost, right? So I'll go back to the spreadsheet. I lost, so I'll add a unit. I'm doing this here, because if you're doing 6 at a time, it's going to be hard to remember if you're doing them separately, right? So, and I lost a unit. That really is one key thing to keep in mind with this. Is that, the way I was doing it in the previous video is I was just going across the board, 10 cents. Okay, lose 20 over here, 30 over here, boom. Let's say I win that red, then 20 on black, boom, I won that one. Then I'm back down to 10 cents on odd. I win, and I just keep going, right? I can do that completely mentally. I don't have to write anything down, right? So I'm naturally going to be faster. Right? So there's an extra delay with this, but this also helps me to see kind of what's going on. Now, what I'm going to do though is just kind of do like a few, like could call it like instead of actually betting, I'll do like, fake situation. So let's say like I were to go ahead and bet 20 cents, but then I lost, right? So now I lost 2 units, and then I'd have to go up. So now I lost 2 units. And now I'm going to raise my even to 30 cents. All right, next time I bet even, I'm going to bet 30 cents because I lost previously. So the bet goes up. Now I've lost a total of 3 units. I'm at -3 units. Okay, and you'll be surprised as you keep betting on things. You'll be surprised that how many of these units can get lost. Even betting randomly, even if you're just randomly going back to even, or even if you're if you're doing it in order, you'll see it just it can trend into loss, but you can also see it keep winning, right? And again, you just would repeat that process. Maybe you bet again and you lose again, 3, and now I have to make this 4. Now I've lost 6 units. But let's say did I do that right? Yeah, but let's say, in fact, I lose 4, and I went up to 50. Now, I bet 5 units, but I win the 5 units. Well, what's going to happen, that's going to come back up. This is going to go down. All right? But besides actually betting, really what I really wanted to do with this, or part of the purpose, is really just to provide like kind of a visual on what is actually happening when you Dalembert, where you can actually see the losses that are happening. So see, I lost -1. So, you can actually see, right, how much you're losing, the number of units you're actually losing as you do it. So here you see, I've lost 5 units. So you see how it can add up when you keep losing the same thing. Look, before The 5, look, minus 1, 2, 3, and 4, it lost 10 units, right? Now, when it comes to the absolute amount of money, right, because I'm doing 10 cents bets, because my units are only 10 cents, it's a small amount of money, right? Relative to, like, you know, the human need for money, right? Or use of money, right? It's an absolutely small amount. But if you start getting into larger units, right? Even going up to like, a standard $1, it makes a huge difference in a short period of time, right? So you could lose 10 units very fast. Not as bad as martingale, where you're actually doubling the bets. But I mean, you can definitely lose a substantial amount, right, as you go through the sequence quickly. If the loss, continues, right? If you continue to have that consecutive losses, right? You see that minus 15, right? If I lose that, 50 cents bet, right? And remember, I've got to keep betting higher and higher each time. All right. So it's just important. I think this just helps you to visualize also and understand, the accumulation of loss that potentially occurs. However, as you begin to win, for instance, if you make it to 60, okay, and then you start winning, well, you're going to win 6 units, right? You see how the 15 quickly becomes minus 9, right? And if you keep winning, when you go down to 50, you see how that, comes back up, right? So you've just got to win the next 3 bets. So that's why Dalembert. So I'm showing you how Dalembert can lose, but I'm also showing you why it recovers, or how rather it recovers the loss. As you can see, I typed in some wins, right? As it begins to go back down, and you see how the net is 0. All right. So that's the thing, right? I mean, it's losing, but then it's winning as well, right? So, it has both of those going at the same time. All right. So this is something that you can do either just to kind of kind of study and understand what is happening as you lose units. Right. Or you can actually use it to bet. I would actually just put this particular sheet together today, really yesterday, as I was betting, and then just kind of just came to mind that, I could set it up this way, and I could perhaps do track the 6 traits individually, as far as the bet sizes and the units that are being lost in one, and it could perhaps help me spread out the risk, and also learn some things and see some things. Sometimes it's not just about betting. Like, this video is really not even like a let's make money kind of video with roulette or anything like that. It's more just kind of just looking at the strategy and just looking at it with the spreadsheet. Maybe that helps us just to kind of see something perhaps that you hadn't thought of before, you hadn't seen before. So even just from that standpoint, not necessarily even earning money, but just that, you can kind of see, gives you a kind of a visualization, of the loss and the losses and the gains, how that kind of flows, right, and comes together. All right, on the Dalembert. So anyway, you can use this, to actually track bets and actually bet on individual traits, but not really necessary. As I said in my previous video, as I demonstrated, you could just go across or randomly or whatever you want to do and just do it all right here on the board. And but I just wanted to kind of present that to you, and you can see the description of the video for links.